Hello, Professor in class. This is Giovanni. Today, I'll be discussing how to run the government more like a business. I'll be going over the writings of Woodrow Wilson, Max Weber, David H. Rosenblum, Luther Gulick, Frederick W. Taylor, and finally, a warning from Graham T. Allison. What is the role of public administration? According to Woodrow Wilson, it is first to discover what the government can do, and secondly, how to do it in the most efficient way possible. The concept of running a government agency like a business is not a new concept. In 1887, Woodrow Wilson once said that the field of administration is the field of business. With that said, Wilson advocated that the government agency should be competent, efficient, and professional. In order to run the government like a business, its structure needs to be created first, and then individuals trained. Professor David H. Rosenblum agrees with Wilson's analysis of public administration. He goes on to say that business part of government should be run in a business-like manner. But in order to run it like a business, you need structure. Rosenblum looks towards Max Weber and his theory on bureaucracy. We cannot take Max Weber's and his six principle of bureaucracy to establish our structure. His principles have already shown success, both in the private sector like Toyota Motor Company and the public sector like the Department of Motor Vehicles. One of the key elements of his theory is the recognition of a formal hierarchy. This goes back to the human need to be led by a competent individual. But a true leader is not born, they are developed. We can now turn to the teachings and structure of Luther Gulick in order to accomplish this. After a structure is formed, a strong leader needs to come in. Luther Gulick introduced us to his 7 functions of management. Gulick's framework is widely used in the private sector. His principles have become part of the DNA of such companies like Apple, Google, and Microsoft. And the reason why is because it works. However, one of the key elements to the success of Gulick's work is that only a handful of individuals have this power. It is exclusive. You need one person in charge. Frederick Winslow Taylor is known as the father of scientific management. He created 4 principles or burdens that each manager or leader must take on. He designed this method to improve industrial efficiency and worker productivity. Once applied at the private sector, now can be applied in the public sector in order to make the government run more like a business. However, a warning was given to us regarding running the government as a business. In this article, Public and Private Management, are they fundamentally alike in all unimportant respects? Arthur Graham T. Allison points out the differences between equity and efficiency. Government agencies emphasize the importance of equity, unlike their private sector counterpart who emphasizes the importance of efficiency. As public administrators, we are tasked with using the public resources in the most efficient way possible. And that might mean to run the government more like a business, but not at the cost of equity or civil rights. Allison wraps up his essay with the following quote, and I conclude that public and private management are at least as different as they are similar, and that the differences are more important than the similarities. This thought hopefully resonates with all of us who are practitioners in public administration. Thank you for your time and have a blessed week. Bye.